Hey, it's Jay. Welcome back to my channel. It is February 2nd at 1:11 in the morning, and I am going to start my reading vlog for Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard trilogy by Rick Riordan. This follows Annabeth Chase's cousin. I've read the whole first book and like half of the second book. I remember hardly nothing. I haven't even met Alex Fiaro, Magnus's love interest, yet in the second book, so I know that shows you, for those of you that have read the trilogy, that I have not gotten very far, and I don't remember hardly anything. So I'm going to start that, and yeah. So I'm going to be using yellow to mark new representation things, because, like, the homelessness, in the sign language, and the Muslim arranged marriage, who's, like, they're actually in love, that's what I remember right off for representation. And then I don't think there's a Perspeth moment until the final book, but when I get there, then I will be using blue. And just for context, at the beginning of the first book, Magnus is 16, and this takes place between Heroes of Olympus, and like right at the beginning of the first Trials of Apollo book, because Percy, when Apollo goes to Percy's house at the very beginning, Percy says that he's studying for SATs while Annabeth is in Boston dealing with some family stuff, and so this is after, like, going through Tartarus and putting Gaia to sleep and stuff, so. Middle-aged white guy and a teenage girl, probably his daughter, Annabeth. God, I know I just finished Trials of Apollo, like, 5 days ago, but I already miss Annabeth. There was the dude who claimed to be from Alpha Centauri and had philosophical conversations with Canada geese. Is that Phineas with the Harpies? With Ella and the others? So I am about, how far am I in? Not quite 70 pages in to the Sword of Summer, and I'm gonna stop here for now, I think. What's happening right now is that Magnus just got to Hotel Valhalla and is in his hotel room, and the guy whose name I'm already forgetting that showed him to his room is like, so you at dinner and then you'll meet your Valkyrie, who I think is Samira or something. And I was gonna read until he met up with Annabeth again, and she was like, oh, I know, like, a safe place, Camp Half-Blood, where you can go if you need to, but it's looking like, I googled it, and from the summaries that I found, it looks like it's gonna be a bit still, so I'm gonna take a break from that and work on my Perspeth album, so yeah. God, I'm a simp for Rick Riordan books. It is it's February 4th, sometime after 11 p.m. And, in the first Magnus Chase book, Magnus is going to the funeral home to see his dead body, and I think this is where he talks with Annabeth, so I'm excited. I aspire to be as intimidating as Annabeth is. Here I was, a reborn Superborea from Valhalla, and Annabeth still intimidated me. The way she held herself, her steely confidence, I could tell she'd overcome some hard stuff, the same way I could tell which guys in the shelters were the most dangerous. Again, this is after Tartarus and Heroes of Olympus ended. Recently I learned the hard way that sometimes I have to step back and let other people do their own quest, even people I care about. Her hubris, and she's growing. Same freaking judo flipped hearth. I love when girls in Rick Riordan's books freaking judo flip guys. It's top tier. Magnus is trying to get his sword to change into something smaller, less sword-like, and he's like, I don't know, a pen? And the sword says, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Rick Riordan. Does that imply that Taylor Swift is a dwarf? She's 5'10", 5'11". What? he went back to the kitchen, leaving Blitz and me alone with Taylor Swift singing I Know Places. The lyrics took on a whole new meaning in the subterranean dwarf world. What does that mean? It is February 7th at 5:05 p.m. and I am, I guess, about 60-ish or so % way done with the Sword of Summer. Right now what's happening is that Blitz has to do this like competition with some other elf dude for inventions because he was challenged or something, and then Blitz, Hearth, Magnus, and Sam have to go to the like big bad wolf, not the actual big bad wolf like Red Riding Hood or nothing, but a wolf that is like a god or something that is trying to escape, and that wouldn't be good to like, and they have to like fix the ropes or something. And it's kind of interesting because Sam's character is starting to be revealed as Samira, and I just like, I like all these characters, and I'm not surprised that I would like all the characters, but like, I didn't realize that I liked them until this point, I guess. I said this before, I'll just say it again. Nobody writes battle scenes like Rick Riordan. So not only are they stressful, most of the time this one wasn't particularly stressful, but they're really weird and funny. Like, Junior, who was the elf that was challenging Blitzen, he has a walker, right? And his walker just was like armed and had like missiles or something, and it was so weird. Only in a Rick Riordan book would a deaf elf say he doesn't read sword lips, and a sword named Jack say he doesn't read elf hands. Rick Riordan books really are just the embodiment of Leo when he said that humor is a good way to deal with the pain, because all of Rick Riordan's characters have so much trauma, and yet they're like dealing with it with humor. I'm gonna have to do like a full video on like deep dive into all of Rick Riordan stuff, because oh my god, there's so much to uncover here. So Sam is the daughter of Loki, right? And apparently Loki can shapeshift or something, cause hi, no, don't bite me, cause Sam. My cat looked murderous toward me. So Sam can shapeshift, and she shapeshifted into a fly. And I don't know, like, I'm curious as to what else she can shapeshift into, because like Frank can shapeshift into many different animals, not all animals. Like, I don't think he can turn into a rhino specifically, but I'm curious as to what else Sam can shapeshift into. Because, like, fly is pretty small, but also, like, Frank turned into bees, plural, so I'm not sure what the law of physics is there. So Magnus Chase and Will Solace can both glow, and they're both healers. Granted, Will doesn't, at least that we know of, glow when he heals. That's like a separate thing, but still kind of funny. I hate him. I feel like in the second book there's also a chapter that mentions Jason, Grace, and Brick. I hate him. Hearth called Magnus brother, and like, I like that anyway, but the fact that like his actual brother died, and his parents blamed him for it and said like the wrong brother died, but he called Magnus his brother. So it's 8:17 in the evening, I guess it's technically night, and the four of them, Magnus, Sam, Blitz, and Hearth, are getting to the island where Fenris Wolf is. I think that's how you say his name, which is like the big bad that they gotta fight, and they're just getting to the island and from this boat, and they jump in, and Magnus is saying that the waist deep water was so cold, I imagined I'd be singing soprano for the rest of the week, and I feel seen, because when I get we have a pool. I live in Florida. We have a pool. When we first get into the water and it's like a shock to the system, if it's cold enough, then like I like talk, but it like I sing it instead because oh my god, it's cold. And I just feel see. I don't feel seen, but I can relate to it. Yes. Annabeth. I hate him. I forgot about this title. Okay, so the last chapter of The Sword of Summer is Magnus going to meet up with Annabeth, and Frey had given Magnus a jar, and it's revealed in this last chapter that in the jar was his mother's ashes, and Magnus and Annabeth like released them into some kind of river, and then like Annabeth is like, I bet you that once I tell you what happens in my life, yours will seem downright normal. And so like they're sharing it. They're sharing their different demigod stories. It's not like shown here yet, at least. And then there's a freaking epilogue, which is weird. Like I've never seen an epilogue in a Rick Riordan book. So I have finished the first book in the trilogy, The Sword of Summer. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars because like I really enjoyed it, but there were a few scenes that felt kind of rushed, if that makes sense. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it, so 4 stars. And I don't know if I'll start the second one today, The Hammer of Thor. It's still not a small book, but it's, I'm gonna guess, at least 100 pages shorter than the first one. The Hammer of Thor, because Thor freaking lost his hammer in the first one and won't admit it. And I think that's Thor and Loki on the cover. This one, I read about half of it, and then I, like, a couple years ago, and then I just never read it since. And I think this is the book where Alex Fiaro, Magnus's love interest, comes in. And the only things I know about Alex is that Alex has green hair, in all the cosplays I see, wears a pink and green checkered vest, which is a choice. And then I think is ginger food or something, and then Magnus is pansexual. I don't remember. I don't know. I'm gonna find out in this book, I think. So that's exciting. I was flipping to the back of the second book to see how many pages it was compared to the first one, and I looked at the last line because it's like, oh, maybe Alex is mentioned, and it says, I don't know the ocean very well, but my boyfriend does. I think it's time you met personally, and I just, my heart is smiling. They talked about it. Now he knows that they're Greek gods, and she knows there's Norse gods. So in the first chapter, Magnus and Sam were gonna meet to have coffee and talk about something, and then Sam's like, actually, I gotta peace out. I have a soul to reap, and I'm gonna guess that that's Alex. Writing-wise, that would make sense. And Alex, I think, is gonna be the, what does it say? A new hallmate creating chaos. And then said flap. And I just, like, love Rick Riordan's thing with, like, weapons being in, like, jewelry. Like, Magnus's sword is a pendant on a necklace. Meg's, I don't know what they're called, like, slashy sword scythe things, or rings that she wears on either hand. Percy's sword is a pen. Annabeth's hat can turn invisible. I don't know, I love that. So, this bookmark just fell out of my book. It can't be more than 40 pages in. I guess that's how far I got last time. And honestly, I forgot I had this bookmark, and I've had it since elementary school. And now I really want chocolate. The vase he threw at my face is beautiful and deadly, just like Miss Keene here. This is another example of this one Tumblr post. Okay, so the cheetah that's running around floor 19 is Alex. and Alex is a shapeshifter. Interessante. I wonder if Annabeth told Magnus about the Egyptian gods, because at this point, she has met Sadie and Carter. It's Alex. Green hair. Wow, okay. The cosplayers that cosplay Alex really do get the outfit on point, because Jesus Christ, Heidi Klum would not be proud of this. Yes! I can't even imagine what it must have been like to have this representation in a middle grade Rick Riordan book. Like, imagine reading that for the first time. I'm gonna cry up. I'm gonna tear up at the thought. Okay. I have a theory. Magnus is saying that Alex looks familiar, and I doubt I'm gonna be right, but it would be interesting if Magnus had gone to, like, a queer kids homeless shelter or something, and had seen Alex before, like, she dyed her hair green, and I think he definitely just fell in love with her. Just, like, one look is like, ooh. Hard eyes. That's my theory. I doubt I'll be right, but it would be interesting, because, like, one of the biggest driving forces, I guess, of things that Magnus does is that he spent 2 years homeless, right, as a teenager, from 14 to 16, and he, like, in the first or second chapter, he, like, helped some homeless people, gave them, like, $24 and the goat's disguise, and a lot of queer teens are homeless, and a lot of homeless people are queer, and I just think that would be, like, a connection that would be another interesting topic for him to bring up. So I'm on the right track. They were at a similar youth shelter together. The same youth shelter together. So Alex was the brother that Sam got. And gender fluid and transgender. I'm gonna cry. I knew it. Also, I feel like I should have known this, because I feel like I saw a Tumblr post with the screenshot of this paragraph, so I don't know why I'm surprised, but also I totally called it. Yeah, Magnus fell in love. I wasn't sure I could put into words without turning as Rose Mallory's hair. Surprised at the way he reacted to Alex, kind of emotions that stirred up. I got here and found out I'm dead, immortal, I'll never age and never change. I thought that meant... Was Alex taking, like, tea? And then just worried that it won't kick into effect? I feel like Rick Riordan would make up his own rules to make it so that the tea would work, but... Taking that Tumblr post to a whole new level. So, Halfborn was saying that gender fluid people have existed for, like, ever, and then TJ is talking about how there was a two-spirit person that was with them in the Silver War. So that's really interesting. Yeah, again, I was on the right track. Not really with, like, taking hormones, but just not having, like, not the option, but the freedom to express yourself. Like, I don't know how to explain myself, but the girls that know, and the girls that don't. Magnus compared the feeling to being left-handed versus right-handed, and, like, the left hand being restrained by a teacher because being right-handed is the way it's supposed to be, and that's a really layman's term to describe it, and I think it's good. One thing I learned for being a son of Frey, I couldn't always fight my friends' battles. The best I could do was be there to heal their injuries. I'm gonna cry. Also, it's February 8th, 2:25 a.m. It is the 8th at 8:37 p.m. and Alex just flirted with Magnus. She punched him in the chest, which is flirt. Yes. Oh my god. Force proximity. They're riding on an 8-legged horse, and one of the characters is in front, and then there's Alex, and there's Magnus, and she's like, I don't bite, and pulled Magnus's wrists around her waist, and oh my god, force proximity. So, right now I'm in the last chapter of the second Magnus Chase book, and what's happening is Magnus is meeting up with Annabeth because he needs to talk to Percy about like sea stuff, and what's described, how Annabeth is described, this is the paragraph. We coordinated train rides and met halfway between Boston and Manhattan, in New London, Connecticut. Annabeth was there before me, standing on the platform in jeans and sandals, and a long-sleeved purple shirt with a laurel wreath design and the letters SPQR: UNR. Is that like the university, the New Rome University shirt when accepted? I'm gonna cry. Like, the last Trials of Apollo book ends with her, Percy, and Grover in New Rome for college, but just Annabeth and an SPQR shirt is so weird to think about. There's a crisis happening. A god fell to Earth as a human. These evil Roman emperors are back causing trouble. Yeah, so that's probably... because, like, this is taking place in March/April, about, so yeah, that's definitely her SPQR acceptance shirt. Why does the mention of Percy make my heart smile? Like... and I've already read this sentence multiple times before I even, like, started the book. Why... I'm a simp. It is now the 9th at 12:04 a.m. I finished The Hammer of Thor. I give it 4 stars, and I am ticked off. Not at Rick Warren, but at TikTok. So I got a couple strikes on my first TikTok account for stupid reasons. Like, apparently I can't use Taylor Swift's No Body, No Crime when referencing Annabeth wanting to hunt down Hera because she stole Percy. And now my second account, which is my official Annabeth Chase cosplay account, they striked one video, which was a repost that didn't get striked on my other account, and so I appealed it and it got accepted, so whatever. But then they striked a video from 3 days ago that didn't have, like, any reference to being violent at all, and then they striked another one that also didn't have any reference to being violent at all, but the thing that the two had in common was I had a fake dagger. Like, it makes no sense, and so I submitted appeals for those, but I can't post for almost 24 hours, and I'm so pissed off. Like, they have the tightest security of any social media account, of any social media that I've ever seen, which, like, kudos, but also it's bullshit reasons that these videos are getting flagged. Also, after 3 days, usually it's done within the hour, usually right away, so I'm so mad. Anyway, I'm starting the third one, Ship of the Dead. Percy Jackson, please save me from my anger. Okay, so Jack, Magnus's sword, like, can sense girl swords and is, like, attracted to them, and he's like, where's she, where's the babe, and they're like, what? And then he flew over to Percy's pocket. He's riptide a girl sword. On the other hand, you didn't know the pen could write until last year. That's low, wise girl. I'm gonna cry. Stop. Now she's wearing a dark blue t-shirt with College of Environmental Design UC Berkeley on it. I'm gonna cry. I cry at everything that has to do with Percy and Annabeth. Stop. Oh my god. I'm actually tearing up. Okay, so the second chapter is and chronologically, this is where Percy's sister Estelle is first named, and Percy's like, I get to babysit tonight, I'm stoked. Magnus is like, I could totally imagine Percy bouncing baby Estelle in his arms, singing Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. Like, I don't want kids, but it's always hot when a guy is good with kids. Also, probably by now, Jason is dead. Oh my god. I'm not okay. Jeez. Percy raised his hands. All I'm saying is the most powerful demigod of our generation is sitting right here, and it isn't me. He nodded to Annabeth. Wise girl can't shapeshift or breathe underwater or talk to Pegasi. She can't fly, and she isn't super strong. But she's crazy smart and good at improvising. That's what makes her deadly. Doesn't matter whether she's on land, in water, in air, or in Tartarus. Magnus, you were training with me all weekend. I think you should have been training with Annabeth instead. Annabeth's stormy grey eyes were hard to read. At last she said, okay, that was sweet. She kissed Percy on the cheek. Alex nodded. Not bad, seaweed brain. Don't you start with that nickname too, Percy muttered. Yeah, Alex, because that's only between them. I hate Rick Riordan. The last I saw of Percy and Annabeth, the Prius was turning the corner on First Avenue, Percy singing along with Led Zeppelin on the radio, Annabeth laughing at his bad voice. Alex crossed his arms. If those two were any cuter together, they'd cause a nuclear explosion of cuteness and destroy the eastern seaboard. I agree, Alex. Oh, fuck, I am supposed to be marking these with blue tabs. Fuck. Okay. Also, in my head, Annabeth was the bad singer and not Percy, but I guess they can both be bad. My throat is actually trying to constrict and cry. So I obviously don't know if I'm right, but I'm gonna guess that that's the last of Percy and Annabeth in this book. Unless, Magnus, meets up with Annabeth at the very end, but I have a feeling it's gonna end with them being on, floor 19 or something, or with Alex. And even though I knew it wasn't gonna be long, I'm still sad that Percabeth is gone from the book. So it is the 9th at 4:31 p.m. and this is such a non-thing to comment on, but so apparently when the Norse people, when they communicate and they send ravens, apparently the ravens deliver messages via barf mail, so they'll come up to you and then when they land on your wrist or whatever, they'll just throw up a piece of paper. And I just can't even imagine what Annabeth's reaction was when Magnus sent her a raven and this random bird just lands near you, throws up, and then leaves. And you open it, and it's a message from your cousin. That's so funny. I forgot that the Valhalla shirt was a Green Hotel Valhalla t-shirt, and it had the floor number, I guess. It's 8:42, ignore the hair, I just got out of the shower. Right now, oh god, okay. Magnus, Alex, Sam, Mallory, TJ, and Halfborn, and then technically Hearth and Blitz are on the way to defeat Loki. They're in a boat, and every now and then, because like they're by the sea, Rick Warren will, or like, Magnus will mention Percy Jackson, and it's as if Rick Warren's like, I remember him. You don't get to see him again in this series. Aww. I really need to learn more ASL, because like I know some sign language, but not anything more than hi, my name is, and like a few like not necessary phrases. But it's really sweet. So it is the 10th at 6:06 p.m. and what's going on right now is that Magnus, Blitz, and Hearth killed Hearth's dad in dragon form because he had a magical ring that turned into a dragon because it like amplified his greed and the worst parts of him. And Blitz, Hearth's dad like was coming toward Hearth and Blitz because he was mad and like called him a traitor and stuff, and he was gonna attack him, and then Blitz like yelled at him, and Magnus was like, that guy does not yell and like isn't the bravest person in the world. And Magnus narrating to himself was like, I understood why he didn't want to, or I understood why Blitz wanted to change the subject. He didn't want to talk about how brave he'd been. He didn't see his actions as praiseworthy. It was a simple fact. You didn't mess with Blitz's bestie. Oh, it's so cute. Magnus thought that Alex was gonna hug him, but she went for her Buddy Holly glasses instead. Okay, this is really sweet. I can ignore the hair, I just showered. But Magnus, Hearth, and Blitz just got back to what they're lovingly calling the Yellow Banana, or the Banana Boat or something, their ship, and Alicia's coming over here to see what I'm doing, and Hearth had lost his scarf at some point, and Alex like gave him her pink and green one, and that was really sweet, but also now the color scheme is spreading among them. So for context, the group is trying to make it to a fire that they see because they're in the ice world and they're all freezing to death. And as we paired up, somebody's arm curled around my waist. Alex Fierro wedged herself next to me, wrapping a blanket around our heads and shoulders. I looked at her in amazement. A pink wool scarf covered her head and mouth, so I could see with her two-toned eyes and some wisps of green hair. Shut up, she stammered. You're warm and summery. That's really cute. I hate you. Keep talking. Okay, that's real cute. Aww. This title is like Alex bites off my face or something, and I knew that meant they were gonna kiss. I'm so excited for them. How I'm still shocked by Rick Gordon's writing, I don't know. But the group is about to be pushed out of this ice castle by Magnus's grandpa's ex-wife. That's the sentence. And he's like describing what Alex is wearing, and he's like, she wore a green fur cloak. Scotty the giant must have skinned a few Grinches to make it. What? That's so weird. So I have less than 100 pages left, and right now the 8 of them are about to like see Loki in the Ship of the Dead, and Magnus is going to challenge Loki to a fighting, which is kind of like battle of the wits and stuff, and I can only imagine what I'm about to read, because Rick Gordon is insane, and I don't know what to expect, but I'm scared. So, Sam, Alex, and Magnus are sneaking onto the boat while their other friends cause a distraction, and there were these voices that Alex and Magnus were hearing, tempting them to come down and break to their death and stuff. And Alex is like, I heard my grandfather, and other voices, Adrian, and Magnus asked who, and she said a friend committed suicide. That came out of nowhere, and I wasn't expecting that explicit of a dark statement like that from Rick Gordon. especially in a middle grade book. Granted, the characters are 16, so I guess it's technically a YA book, but wow. That was unexpected. So, Magnus won the fighting with Loki, and Loki like threw insults at Magnus, and then Magnus was like, wait a second, I'm a healer. I can beat him. Healers aren't cruel. They heal people, lift each other up, and so he went on to talk in detail about each of his friends with them, and it was so sweet, and I love that because, like, in video games with teams, I'm always the healer, the main healer, and so, I don't know, it just kind of showed, like, you don't have to be a fighter to win. You can be a healer and still be successful. So, because of their bravery and success and stuff, Odin was offering gifts, and he was like, well, Magnus Chase, since you're the leader, do you want anything special? And I think he's gonna ask for them to open up Randolph's, his uncle's, old mansion as a homeless shelter. I think that's what's about to happen. I'm so excited. Alex kissed Magnus. He grabbed his face and kissed him while Magnus was covered in chocolate from tug of war. But it's cute. So, because Magnus is dead in the mortal world, Annabeth, like, owns Randolph's place, and, Magnus called Annabeth to tell her about it, and he says Annabeth sounded like she had been crying, and at this point, it's, like, after summer, right, or summer, and so, like, Percy, Grover, and Annabeth are in New Rome, and they found out that Jason died. They made Randolph's house a residence for homeless youth. Why am I crying? Like, you can't see, well, maybe you can, but my eyes are red and I've got a tear. There it is. God. I wish I had the money to do that. Oh my god. There it goes. Down my cheek. And Magnus is like, the kids can stay as long as they want. Some, I got rooms, some only came for a sandwich. Whatever is fine, no judgment. God. But now Magnus and Alex are holding hands. Oh, there's a tear on my other cheek. Oh god, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I finished the book, went through the glossary, pronunciation guide. There's a list of the 9 worlds and the runes, what they mean. Gonna get this soon, probably for myself, my birthday. Maybe I'm uploading this on my birthday, who knows. Read a hilarious short story, I'll probably just wait. I'm fine. I didn't expect... I don't think I cried at all during this trilogy. And the creation of the youth shelter made me cry. This is the second book in the span of 2 weeks that I've cried at, and I never cry at books, somehow, for some reason. It's not very Piscean of me. So, that was my vlog for reading Magnus Chase trilogy. Alex and Magnus technically got together. I think the fandom is pretty much labeled Magnus as Pan, which, yeah, by definition, that would make the most sense. Oh my god. But, next I'll probably do the Egyptian trilogy, the King Chronicles. I still have to get the last one. Then I'll probably do the companion books, and then eventually reread Trials of Apollo. And experience Jason's death all over again. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified whenever I upload, which is most Saturdays. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.